Imagine being trapped in the middle of an endless frozen desert for 72 long days. No food, no help, no way out. Only snow all around you and the feeling that death is slowly closing in. But for a group of young men in 1972, this nightmare became their reality. Our story begins on October 13, 1972. A Uruguayan rugby team, along with their friends and family, boarded a plane to Chile for a big match. Everyone was excited, laughing, and taking pictures. Many of them were flying out of the country for the very first time. As the plane crossed over the massive Andes Mountains, the players looked out the window, amazed by the snow-covered peaks. None of them knew that in the next few minutes, everything would change forever. Suddenly, the weather shifted. A violent snowstorm slammed into the aircraft, shaking it hard. People panicked, bags fell. The plane rattled like it was being torn apart. Someone tried calming the passengers, saying, "Relax, it's just turbulence. This happens in the mountains." But this time it didn't stop. The shaking grew worse. The pilot struggled to control the plane. Alarms went off, and then they saw it. A massive mountain peak right in front of them. They tried to pull up. They couldn't. The plane smashed into the mountain, tearing into two pieces. The tail section flew off instantly, taking a player with it who vanished into the clouds. The front half skidded violently across ice and slammed into a huge snowbank. Seats crushed together, people were thrown forward, many died instantly. Out of 45 passengers, only 27 survived the crash. As night fell, temperatures dropped far below freezing. The survivors used luggage, metal scraps, even dead bodies to block the freezing wind entering the broken fuselage. They huddled together in the darkness, shaking uncontrollably, praying to survive till morning. When sunlight finally came, they discovered that 5 more people had frozen to death overnight. Outside, all they could see was endless snow. No trees, no animals, nothing that could help them survive. They started melting snow for water and rationing the tiny bits of food left from the flight. Everyone believed rescue teams would find them soon. And then, they heard a plane overhead. They screamed, waved, used metal pieces to reflect sunlight. But the rescue aircraft was too high. It flew right over them. The next day, another plane flew by. Same result. Hope faded a little more. After many days, they managed to repair a small radio receiver, and what they heard shattered every bit of hope they had left. The Uruguayan government had officially ended the search. The world believed they were dead. Inside the broken fuselage, no one said a word. Tears fell silently. Their hope died in that moment. Food was gone. They had been starving for days. Some chewed leather from luggage. Others smoked to kill the hunger. Nando Parado lost his mother, his sister, and his father. Many others watched their loved ones die. Starvation was killing them slowly, painfully. And then came the decision no human should ever face: survival cannibalism. After long arguments, crying, guilt, and silence, the survivors realized that if they didn't eat the frozen bodies outside, they would all die too. Some refused and said they'd rather die. Others accepted it as the only way to live. Eventually, almost all of them gave in. Days passed, then another tragedy struck. A massive avalanche slammed into the fuselage, burying everyone in snow. 8 more people died instantly. The rest clawed their way out after 2 days trapped on the ice. At this point, they had survived plane crashes, starvation, and now an avalanche. But they still weren't rescued. 34 days had passed. The weather finally began to improve. The group realized one thing: no one was coming. If they wanted to survive, someone had to climb over the mountains and find help. 3 men, Nando Parado, Roberto Canessa, and Tintin, prepared for an almost impossible journey. They created a sleeping bag out of aircraft insulation and cloth, packed human meat for food, and started climbing. The mountains were brutal. Temperatures were deadly. Every step felt like walking toward death. After climbing for days, Tintin gave his food to the other 2 and went back, letting the stronger pair continue. Nando and Roberto kept going, climbing ridge after ridge, only to find more mountains ahead. But they didn't stop. After 10 days of non-stop climbing, they finally saw something different. Less snow, running water, signs of life. And then, they saw him. A man on a horse. At first they thought it was a hallucination, but it wasn't. They screamed for help, but the river between them was too loud. The man threw a paper and pencil across the river. Nando wrote down everything. "We are survivors of the Andes plane crash. There are many more alive. Please help us." The man rode for hours to alert authorities. The news spread instantly. The people believed to be dead for 2 months were alive. Rescue teams rushed into the mountains. Helicopters flew to the crash site. And after 72 days of suffering, starvation, cold, death, and pure human will, 16 survivors were finally rescued. When they reached the city, crowds welcomed them like heroes. They met their families, cried in each other's arms, and were taken to hospitals. That night, even after being given warm beds, many of them still slept close together, just like they did in the mountains, because the trauma of those 72 days stayed with them forever. Out of 45 passengers, only 16 survived. Their story became one of the greatest real-life survival stories ever told.